Chapter 5. Breakfast with the Boys. Wes. Living with 4 other hockey players can be great, but it also means being kept awake by the sounds of JD fucking his latest conquest, who happens to be a screamer. And being jolted awake when Liam and Ethan stumble in at 4 in the morning. I wake up with a headache. What the fuck happened last night? I thought we were hitting it off, but apparently she had some ulterior motive. I groan as my feet hit the floor and bury my face in my hands. That bitch planned it. I didn't want to believe it, but the look on her face as she left said it all. For some reason, she wanted to get me in trouble. The smell of food wafts into my room and my stomach growls. With a sigh, I get dressed and head downstairs. It's late, almost lunchtime. Brick is in the kitchen making scrambled eggs with vegetables. Brick keeps to himself most of the time, but he loves cooking. The rest of us toss some money in his direction for food, and he buys groceries and makes most of our meals. There are almost always healthy meals ready to heat in the fridge and snacks in the pantry. I sometimes feel like he's much too responsible for a college kid, even if he's a year older than me. Like all of us, Brick lives for hockey. But his interest is in a long, healthy career, so he's studying sports medicine and nutrition on the side. Hockey isn't just a sport to him, it's a lifestyle. Almost an obsession. Good morning, I say. Morning. He tosses a bag of whole grain bread on the counter in front of me, and I take out 4 slices and place them in the toaster. There's a whole plethora of spreads in the fridge, so I get out the jam and peanut butter. As the bread toasts, footsteps hurry down the stairs. Brick places the pan with the eggs on the island, and I reload the toaster. Morning. Ethan rubs his eyes as he sits down. Brick, I love you. JD comes down and instantly grabs a plate and starts serving himself. Brick grunts in response and puts out a bowl of fruit. Where's the screamer? I ask, shuffling eggs and peppers into my mouth. Oh, she left. JD grins. You know I don't like it when they stay. You're such an ass. He shrugs. We had an understanding. Nobody woke me up, Liam complains as he hurries to grab what's left of the eggs. You know the rule. I spread some jam on my toast and take a bite. The rule is that Brick cooks what he cooks when he cooks, and we take it or leave it. So? Liam asks when he seats himself next to us. Did you score? I shake my head. I came so close. Or so I thought. I can still smell her on my skin. And the way her fingers brought my whole body to life. Turns out she was after something else. What happened? Ethan asks and grabs the milk. Whatever happened, I hope you used protection, JD says. Party Princess has been around. So have you, Brick says coolly without looking up. Yeah, and that's why I always use protection. Wes here has barely fucked anyone in the last year. I had a girlfriend, I say. Precisely. And either you two were the quietest fuckers ever, or she hardly ever put out. I decline to answer that. So what happened? Ethan asks again. I sigh. It's going to get out anyway. She said she wanted to do it in the den. JD laughs. Ethan and Liam look like they want to high-five each other. Brick seems uninterested. And you didn't? JD asks. She didn't actually want to have sex at all. She just wanted me in there so I'd get in trouble. How'd you get in trouble? Her friends called Coach and he came by and found me. They all stare at me. Wearing only my boxers. There's a moment of stunned silence before they all break out into laughter. I continue eating as they get the worst of it out, including some jokes about being cold and tearing up the ice. When the laughter finally dies down, Brick speaks. You're not getting kicked off the team, are you? The change in the mood around the island is instant. 4 pairs of worried eyes focus on me and I swallow. I don't know. I had barely allowed myself to think that far. That's a what if that doesn't exist in my world. I have a meeting with Coach and the Dean on Monday morning. Fuck man, JD says. Do you want me to go with you? Nah, I'll manage. Besides, she will also be there. Did you at least get to feel her up? Liam asks, and I give him a glare. The conversation moves on. I do my best to participate, but my mind wanders back to the feel of her in my arms, how sweet her lips tasted and how smooth her skin was as I slid my fingers under her skirt. Fuck it all. That bitch isn't worthy of a single minute of my time. I break free of the memories and ask Brick if he wants to come with me to the gym. We both like getting in a session on the weekends, and possibly being kicked off the team is no excuse to slack.
Chapter 6. The Punishment. Lydia. Everyone is making a big deal of this. I lean against the wall outside of the dean's office. His assistant glances over at me before returning to whatever she's doing on the computer. I made the mistake of telling Ellie about it all, and she practically dragged me out of bed this morning to make sure I wouldn't be late. I don't think I would have been late without her. All she did was make me early, so now I have to stand here and wait with nothing to do. Ellie already lectured me about my future and how I need to stay at uni and get my degree. As if a degree in media and communication is going to be the golden ticket to a happy life. I don't even know what I want to do anymore. But Ellie isn't like me. She's uptight and serious. I suppose if this was a soap opera, I would be the evil twin. Unless evil twins always are identical. There is nothing identical between me and Ellie. From her dark hair and inability to play any sport to her love of old horror movies and ability to put what happened behind her, we're as similar as night and day. But she's my sister and she loves me. I know, because I've probably given her 100 reasons to kick me out, and she still refuses to leave me. Not that I want her to leave. She's the only family I have left. Apart from Aunt Charlie, and Aunt Charlie is not the family dinner type. So I need to stay close to Ellie. Which means I have to stay at uni. But how bad could it be? It's not like we broke anything or spray-painted dicks all over the place. And Wes had a key. Or a card. Or a code. I'm not sure what he used to get us in. I grab my phone and settle in to do some scrolling until I'm called inside. But I barely have my phone out before someone else appears. Wes Porter looks like his pants are full of bees, angry and slightly anxious. But mostly uncomfortable. He walks straight up to the assistant and introduces himself. She gives him a small wave and tells him to wait. I hold my breath as he turns around and spots me. His eyes narrow as he alters his course and homes in on me. I smile. He does not smile back. But he comes close enough to tower over me. I have to bend my neck back to look up at him. With flats on, I barely reach his shoulder. "What the fuck did you do that for?" he growls. Do what? I hide the flutters in my stomach and the way my pulse just raced away, and blink a few times at him. "You know what you did. What I can't figure out is why you would do something so stupid." He's close enough to bring back all the memories from yesterday. I move slightly and notice that he's turning me on. Just being this close to him is having an effect on me. "You know you had it coming." I need to get away from him before I do something really stupid. I turn to pass him by, but before I can take 3 steps, he grabs my wrist and sparks shoot up my arm. What is that supposed to mean? He pulls me closer to him, and I stumble a bit. Mr. Porter and Ms. Bridges, the dean's assistant, is pointing to the door. In the future, I yank my hand free and lower my voice. "Perhaps you should think twice about leading people on. Especially people with crazy friends." Satisfied with my cryptic comment, I walk through the door and steel myself, ready to meet my fate. My smugness swiftly disappears as I spot the 2 men waiting for us inside. Instead, I feel like a naughty child called into the principal's office. Which I suppose isn't too far from the truth. Dean McKinney, Coach Harrison. I nod at them and take a seat in one of the 2 chairs. Coach is leaning back against the windowsill next to the desk. He does not look happy. Dean McKinney is a middle-aged man with lush brown hair. He's on the heavy side and constantly fidgeting with his glasses. He leans back in his chair as we come in front of him. "Dean McKinney." "Coach, Wes says respectfully and stands until the dean gestures for him to sit. I still can't believe what I walked in on. Coach shakes his head in disappointment, and I could swear Wes' cheeks tint slightly red. Never in my life, the dean starts but interrupts himself. Well, unfortunately, that's not true. But what were you thinking? I clear my throat and sit up a little straighter. Dean McKinney. I use my sweetest voice. I was not aware that we weren't allowed to be there. Wes told me it was fine. I had no idea we were breaking the rules. There's a loud huff from the chair beside me, and I give Wes a dirty look. That's not going to work, he says. What isn't? I ask innocently. He turns to the two men. She's the one who insisted we break in there, and she's the one who made sure I was found without clothes on. God, he's hot when he's fuming. If he wasn't trying to throw me under the bus, and if he were a better person, I might actually be into that. That's simply not true, Dean McKinney. I would never break into school property. I try not to think of all the times I have done just that. Nobody knows, so there's no need to bring it up. Oh, really? Wes laughs dryly. Somehow, I find that hard to believe. I'm just about to answer him when the coach's voice fills the room. Enough. He crosses his arms and stands up. Do you have any idea how serious this is? This is no time to be squabbling, when what you should be doing is groveling and begging for our forgiveness. He turns to Wesley, and I breathe a sigh of relief to not be in his crosshairs. I expected better from you, Porter. You say you're serious about hockey, and then you pull a stunt like this. It doesn't matter whose idea it was, you should have put a stop to it. There will be consequences for your actions. Wes' face is dark from contained rage, but there is nothing he can do. I turn back to the dean. Am I free to leave now? I really didn't do anything wrong. He looks me over and puts on his glasses. With a sigh, he takes out a thick paper file. I didn't know anyone still used paper files. He opens the folder and starts paging through the content. I was not born yesterday, Ms. Bridges. He flips another page. And I am inclined to believe you are not as innocent as you claim. I am in particular talking about an incident last year, on Valentine's Day. He looks up at me as if he's asking me a question. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I feel myself getting flustered. So I made a mistake. It wasn't my fault. And no one is supposed to know. It was wiped from the records. It appears you got arrested for grand theft. Boat. I open my mouth, and for a heartbeat I feel like a fish out of water. Well, no charges were ever filed. Let me guess, it was all a mistake, and you were completely innocent? Yes? I know he doesn't buy it. But in my defense, I was told that the incident wouldn't come back to bite me. He sighs and closes the file. Ms. Bridges, being arrested is something we view as a serious matter. Now, since no charges were filed, this could all have been a mistake. But it still shows the state of your character, that you would get into a situation like that. He opens the file again, and his expression changes. He clears his throat. I am aware of your situation. What happened? I freeze. I can't swallow. I can't breathe. He looks at me and panic threatens to break free from the cage I've shoved it in. He must see something in my expression. Because he mercifully drops it. So there are attenuating circumstances, but they do not free you of responsibility. Due to Mr. Porter's previous commitments and dedication to the hockey team, and your circumstances, we have decided to go easy on you. I sigh and relax a little. It doesn't sound as if I'm being kicked out. Since you both seem to be so fascinated with the den, the coach says with a grin, you'll get to spend some more time there. I try to make sense of what he's saying. What do you mean? I ask. The dean smiles. This weekend, Ms. Tina, who runs the pro shop, had an accident. She's going to be fine, but she broke her arm and won't be able to do all the things she normally does. Like restocking the equipment and, he waves a hand in the air, whatever she does. I was just fretting about finding someone to cover for her when Coach presented me with this situation. And I have to admit, it worked out perfectly. Wait, what? I say. What about hockey? Wes says. Hockey will still be there, Coach says. I've discussed it with the dean, and you two will work there on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. It won't interfere with your practice. For how long? I ask. Until Ms. Tina's arm is healed. The doctors estimate 8 to 12 weeks. 2 months? I gape at them. You expect us to work there for 2 months? If I were you, Ms. Bridges, I would count my blessings that you didn't get kicked out. In all honesty, I was prepared to do that to the both of you, but Coach Harrison convinced me otherwise. But if either of you squander this chance we've given you, I will not hesitate. I stare at them. They want me to work. At the den. With Wes? How is this even an option? Is this legal? My mind races, trying to come up with some excuse, some reason not to do this. I refuse to work with Wes, I finally say. He's an arrogant ass, and I want nothing to do with him. You didn't seem to mind him the last time I saw you together. Coach is stone-faced. Things change, Wes says. I'd rather cut my toes off than work with her. Oh, nice. I narrow my eyes at him. That's not the impression I got when you were trying to eat my face. I've gotten to know you since. A vein in his neck is throbbing. The dean slams a hand on the desk. Stop this bickering. You will work together because I say so. It will be good practice for your futures. You won't always be able to choose who you work with. In fact, not only will you work together, you will be responsible for each other. If one of you screws up, both of you will suffer. My attention turns from Wes to the dean. He's serious. What does that mean? Just what it sounds like. I expect you to do a good job for Ms. Tina, and I will judge you as one. And if you don't come through, there will be other consequences, such as suspension or being kicked out, or being removed from the hockey team. We start to object at the same time, but the dean holds up a hand and dismisses us. There is no more discussion. We've gotten our verdict, and now it's up to us to accept it. As I leave the room, I'm grateful to not have been kicked out, but in disbelief at the punishment we got.